Okay, good evening, everyone. This is Sachin Karnik here. Today is the 27th of January, 2026. I want to welcome you all to week number 4 of our online personal transformation program. I want to just do a quick review of kind of where we are at this point. Week number 4 in year number 3, this is our third year. We are covering this year the basic theme of cracking that door, opening that door into self-mastery. This is the general theme all the way throughout. That's our attempt to do so. Year number 4 will be next year in January when we begin that, and that'll be sustained self-mastery. Please remember, years number 1 and 2 are about establishing balance across 12 dimensions. Year number 2 is about sustained balance, and then many other related ideas were covered all through last year. So today, I want to go in detail, and we may do this for a couple of weeks. I don't know exactly, how much time I want to spend on it, but at least today at the very minimum, maybe a couple more weeks, on this basic notion, this basic practice of making the next 1 hour as fantastic, as beautiful, as balanced, as harmonious as possible. You've heard me talk about that before, but to reach self-mastery, actually to reach it, means to live in the present, is life. Self-mastery is not just a concept or just a big idea or a lot of theories. It's actual practice and practicality. So I want to try to explain this in detail, and I have a lot of notes here. I'm going to start sharing these with you here. So let's take a look at this. So this is called the hour-by-hour follow-through as a core discipline of true self-mastery. So what's involved in that? Well, let's take a look at it. Let's look at this first paragraph here, and we'll go into this carefully and slowly. So true self-mastery is defined as, what is self-mastery? It's a sustained capacity to regulate cognition, emotion, behavior, and energy in alignment with consciously chosen values, the things that we value, the things that we want to do. It's going to be different for each person. Let's look at that definition. It's in the parentheses. Let's be sure we're clear about what that means first. Sustained capacity, true self-mastery. If Sachin says, I want to be in a state of true self-mastery, this is the criteria. Sustained capacity to regulate my thinking, which is cognition. I can regulate it. Not that regulation is what? The quantity, quality, dimension, depth, and structure. Remember the 5, 6, 5. So, right? So thought, emotion, memory, desire, energy, that's 5. Each one of those, we've talked a little bit about this before. We're going to get more into a lot of depth on this. Each one of them, cognition, for example, has quality, quantity, direction, dimension, depth, and structure. And if you haven't written that down, please do so. So those 6 aspects are there for each of these 5, for thoughts, emotions, memory, desire, energy, TEMDE. Right? So this is true for our energy, our memories, and then of course our overall behavior. It's the capacity, self-mastery is the capacity to regulate emotions, regulate cognition. Regulate meaning keep it within a range, and in a range that doesn't damage energy, doesn't damage time at all. It enhances behavior, and it is in alignment with what we have decided to do. It's called consciously chosen values. Now, values are, of course, ethics and morality, but in more generic sense, everything that we value in our life, everything that we give importance to is considered to be valuable in our lives. So true self-mastery is frequently mischaracterized as the product of exceptional motivation, visionary clarity, or an elevated self-concept. Now, I'm going to explain these sentences. These are a little bit heavy sentences, so please don't get overwhelmed by it. I'll break it down. If you have questions, you can just ask me, or you can wait until about 8:45, 8:50 when we finish, and then you can ask at that point if you want. So this is very important. True self-mastery, many people in the world believe that you have to be, it's like super motivated, then you can reach great mastery in life, great goals, and achieve great things. Or you have to be a great visionary, some awesome stuff. Then only mastery is there. Or you have to think of yourself in a elevated self-concept. All those things are not false necessarily, but they're not actually correct completely. They are kind of mischaracterized. right? So while these elements may inspire initiation, they can get inspired even if you have some of these qualities. They are insufficient for stabilization and continuity. To be stabilized in self-mastery is our goal, and for continuity. Now, the decisive factor in mastery is not intensity, but disciplinary consistency. All right, so I hope this point is clear. Let's make sure it's absolutely clear. If you're taking notes, you can write this down. Disciplinary consistency is the key word to write down for this week. This is what we want to achieve this week. This is our practice this week, 1 hour at a time. So what is disciplinary consistency? The reliable execution of chosen actions across time, regardless of internal variability. Meaning what? I made a decision, 8 o'clock p.m. Tuesdays, personal transformation program online is going to be there. Unless there's an internet issue or some other major reason to change it, we don't miss this at all. Very rare. We have missed a couple, but then I had to do some recordings and all that because there was no other way around it. That's the reason why. But other than that, we don't miss Tuesday evenings. Why is that? Disciplinary consistency. That's just the way it goes. A decision has been made in my mind that at 8 o'clock, it's a decisive factor that this is going to happen come what may. Unless there's could be some exceptions, but very rare. So it's the reliable execution of chosen action. I'm using myself as an example just with this program. But this is across the board with everything. Getting up in the morning, meeting with friends or doing your studies or doing certain chores in the home or whatever it is, right? Any action. Once we have decided that this is what's going to happen in the next 1 hour, these 3 things I'm going to do, other things I may not think about so much, but I'm definitely going to get these 3 things done, whatever they may be. Maybe vacuum the floor, do the laundry, read my email. Start with small things, but the key is to follow through. Right? So the decisive factor in mastery is not intensity as we think. We say, I just have to be severely motivated and I have to just put a lot of effort into it. It's not that at all. It's not that at all. In fact, what it is reliable execution. I'm executing it. I'm putting it into practice reliably. Reliably means again and again consistently. Of what? Of my own chosen actions. I choose. I make a choice that in this 1 hour, this is what's going to happen. And usually we do this when we are paid to do this at work. We have deliverables, we have to report on time, we have, all those kinds of things because it's coming out of fear. If I don't do this, I'll get, somebody will get fired or somebody will get written up or this will happen or some problems will happen. All that kind of stuff. That is disciplinary consistency out of fear. That's not what we're talking about. We don't want fear. We don't want to do this out of fear. We want to do this because we want genuine self-mastery, not out of fear. And once that fear disappears, self-mastery will be there in all 12 domains, in all 12 areas. Right? So disciplinary consistency, write it down. Some of you are writing things down, please write it down. And what is this? Be very clear about both of these terms. What is true self-mastery and disciplinary consistency? It's in italics. I'll send it to you later on as a PDF. You can keep it and save it. Start to save this material and it'll be available. This recording will be available also tomorrow, day after tomorrow. So what is disciplinary consistency? Reliable execution of chosen actions across time. Across time meaning the next hour, the next hour, the next hour, the next hour. We have monthly calendar, annual calendar. All those calendar events are there. When we have things scheduled, it's good. We know we have appointments and whatnot, whatever we have to. But we don't write everything on the calendar. We don't write like every hour what are we going to do. But we can sit just for a minute or so before the hour begins and say, this is what's going to happen in the next hour. Like today, for example. I had 7 or 8 different things that I was working on today. And I woke up literally like at 4:30. I think it was even earlier than that, like around 4 o'clock. And I've been up since then. And I took a little rest in the afternoon, that's all. I had accomplished 15 tasks. And what did I do? How did I do that? I just went an hour at a time. That in this hour, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do these 4 things. And I'm going to do this. Then I want to do this. Without any stress, without any tension, without anything at all. Without any kind of disturbance whatsoever. That I was at home mostly. I had to go out just a little bit for something. and it's actually so beautiful, because how do I feel right now? I'm on track. There's no lingering stuff that's there. There was a bunch of stuff to be organized in the kitchen. I got that done. I got that. It didn't take long, but some of the stuff was put off just because I'll do it later. Listen, no, there's no later. Because I've been busy with whatnot, but you could still do it. But once I decided I'm going to organize this particular closet, that's it. Then it got done. Then there's no if and but or anything like that. Now, we're going to talk about that in a moment here. This is the reliable execution of chosen. Now, I did this today, right? And I've been doing it hour at a time. It's nothing difficult. I just visualized these are the things I want to do in the next hour, and then it's going to be done. And I just got through it. There was a bunch of research I needed to do. I got most of that done also today. I created this document. It took me about 2 hours to create this document. It's 42 pages long. I had to read through it, and then I had a conversation about this with somebody else today, in fact. So very interesting. This day has been going beautifully, and I'm glad finally on this subject, hour by hour follow through, there's an actual document now on this. And it's 42 pages long so far, and it'll be longer. It'll be about 120 pages by the time I finish all the research on it. And let's go through it very carefully, right? So the reliable execution of chosen actions across time, regardless of internal variability. Internal variability is what? I make a decision that in the next hour I'm going to do these 3 things. I'm going to organize the closet, do my laundry, I'm going to go for a walk, let's say, all right? Or do exercises. But then by the time the next hour comes, I'm into I do one of those 3, and then I just, I don't feel like doing this now. My mind shifts into something else. I'm not following through on my own decision, my chosen action. So my internal variability does exist, but I follow through it irrespective of that. So this is an extremely beautiful definition. Disciplinary consistency is the reliable execution of chosen actions across time, regardless of internal variability. Just to remember these ideas, this is our conceptual modality right now. We're going to get the concepts clear. So today's concept is disciplinary consistency and, of course, true self-mastery, which is the overall theme. Make sure that the concept is clear. If it's not clear, even an iota, ask about it. Get it clear. Now, let's continue to the next paragraph. This reframes challenges dominating self-development paradigms that privilege episodic enthusiasm or identity affirmation. All that simply means is we get sometimes so enthusiastic. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. I'm going to get all these things. And then by the time 1 or 2 hours pass by, you get tired and the whole mind just gets dull and shifted. We're not talking about that. So instead, mastery is revealed as an emergent property of temporal fidelity. So this is the third concept today. Temporal fidelity. Faithfulness in intention across successive units of time. It's fantastic. Faithfulness in intention. What is my intention? My intention is, of course, to be a master of my own life, no doubt. So mastery emerges, from temporal fidelity. That as each hour goes by, if I'm really, truly deciding that in the next hour 3 things are to be done, 4 things are to be done, and I do it, and then the next hour, and then I do that. So I'm having fidelity, and my intention is very clear, so that temporal fidelity enacted not at the scale of months or years, but within the smallest psychological actionable window, the hour. What a beautiful phrase that is. The smallest psychological actionable window. That's our life, the next hour. The hour of power. There used to be a religious show called that years back. Some preacher used to give that. It's the hour of power, right? So months and years, we have a lot of dreams in our minds. We have lots of things planned. That's okay. Life, I cannot live 3 months from now. I have to live right now. I have to see what's happening coming up in the next hour. So what's the key interpretation? Self-mastery is not a state achieved through exceptional moments, but a structural condition maintained through ordinary, repeated acts of alignment. There's your $1 million statement right there. There's a whole bunch of these statements coming up. There's a whole bunch of them like this, maybe about 100 of them. Fantastic. They're absolutely beautiful. What a sentence this is. Self-mastery is not a state achieved through exceptional moments. We've got to get that out of our head, because that's in people's minds. Some exceptional thing happens. You have to always be on top of the world and always be on top of this and top of that. No, that's simply not the case, because that doesn't last. You may have some wonderful moments. Exceptional things may happen once in a while. So what? That's not self-mastery. Self-mastery is what is it actually? It's a structural condition. Structural meaning our body, our mind, our senses, everything gets into a balanced state. It is structured properly. It is moving towards joy and towards so much inner satisfaction. How? Through ordinary, repeated acts of alignment. That's fantastic. Acts of alignment. For example, how many of us put off doing the laundry? How many of us don't vacuum on time? Of course, there's flexibility, obviously. But when we make a decision, it has to do with decision. When I make a decision that these 3 actions, any 3 actions, it could be small ones. Start with small things. Don't worry about the big things right away. Start with small things. Because what tends to happen, we have so much on our mind. We say, I have to do this, 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 I want to do this. And it just creates a lot of confusion. Now decide. Select 1 item, select 3 items. That's good enough. And then align. That this is, and as I do it, as I continue with it, I wind up having so much more free time, because I'm not carrying the burden that this is still to be done. There's still dishes here. There's still this is to be done. There's still, every time I open that closet, all that whole mess is, oh my God, I'm disturbing my energy, my time, my mind, everything I'm disturbing every time I open a disorganized closet. Make a decision that the next hour I'm going to get this thing organized and be done with it. And that's it. So once I decide, it's your own personal, energetic decision. Somebody else cannot decide for me unless I'm working like in a job or something. Other than that, even then there's a lot of decisions you have to make. I have to decide for myself. That's why this is a structural condition. Self-mastery is a structural condition, because our life is structured, not in a fanatical way, or not in some kind of a hyper, what is that called? You're just constantly trying to organize yourself or something like that, hyper perfectionism. Not that. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a structural condition. That it's a condition, meaning it's a state. It's a state of living, a state of being harmonious within oneself. That state is maintained. How? Through ordinary, repeated acts of alignment. For example, if you're a religious person and you make a decision that from Sunday to Sunday in the week, for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to read 25 pages of the Bible, starting from the beginning. I'm just going to read it. And whatever decision, maybe it's 10 pages, 25 pages, maybe it's with the commentary, or maybe listen to some lectures or whatever. But once you make a decision, notice how the decision changes. So meditatively make the decision. If you believe in God, you can make the decision through religious guidance by asking God's blessings and help. You can do it that way. If you have a mentor or a teacher or a guru or someone, you can do it that way. You can do it by yourself also, saying that these are the decisions I'm making, not in an egotistical way, but in a self-respectful way. A lot of ways to go about it, right? So when you make a decision, it's my decision, and I am going to follow through on that, and repeatedly to follow through on it. And when I do that, so if somebody reads 25 pages in this way, that builds a new type of energetic structure. And that's that structural condition. Right? So it is almost 8:30 now. As I promised you, I'm not going to try to cover too many ideas, because I don't want it to get overwhelming. There'll be a lot of supplements in this. I'm going to cover a couple more for the next 10 minutes or so. But I'm just letting you know, because there's no point in just my covering just a lot of material. The point is more that we apply. It's application. So we do 10 minutes of meditation in the beginning. We'll do about about a half an hour, 35 minutes of presentation, and then open it up for conversation, and then we should be done by 9 o'clock, or even before that. Because this is now the time has come in year number 3. We're not interested in all simply concepts. There's a lot of concepts that have been discussed already. Now it's application. So our entire focus is on application and what is going on in that application, what's not working well, what's not happening properly, or if it's happening properly, let's be very clear, right? Because a lot of ideas are as I said, there's already 42 pages on this thing. The fantastic ideas. I'm going to go through it. But remember, it's application. That's what it all comes down to, right? But get the ideas clear. I'm going to cover this next section and then we'll stop after that. Okay. Predetermined action as a regulatory scaffold. So at the core of hour by hour mastery lies or exists predetermined action. Now, why is that so hard? I mean, what is so hard about that? In fact, it's not hard. It is going to make our life beautiful if once we start doing this actually. Predetermined action is what? It's behavior selected in advance under conditions of reflective clarity, independent of future emotional states. How beautiful. That says it all. It says it very clearly. It's a behavior that I'm selecting. Whatever that behavior may be. Like for example, at 9 o'clock today or 9, let's say, for example, I say from 9:15 to 10:15, I'm going to watch a particular Netflix show. Okay? This is my decision. Now the day is coming to an end. I'm going to watch that particular show, that particular series. I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm going to do a couple of other things while I'm doing that. By the way, sorry about this hand going up. I have to find a way to stop that thing. It comes up automatically when I raise my hand, and that's why that's coming up like that. So I have to go into the settings or somewhere to change that thing. It doesn't matter. I mean, it does matter what we select. What we select, first of all, should not be damaging to us. But once we select it, it should benefit us. It should be something that we enjoy, something that is good for us, something that is not coming out of a compulsion or addiction or something like that. Because somebody could make harmful decisions also. We're not talking about that. We're talking about decisions that are going to be enhanced or that are coming from reflective clarity. Right? So it's clear inside. I've reflected on it internally because my life is Sachin's life is not anybody else's life. The people who are online right now, you have your own life. It's independent of anybody else. I mean, it's connected to others, but you have your own unique life. There's nobody else in the world who has the same life as you all do or as I do. Right? So reflective clarity, you can see these two words here. Beautiful, beautiful words. Reflective clarity is what? To reflect, okay, what's going on right now in my mind, in my life right now, what's happening, what's the next thing I want to do? Am I clear about it? And then once I'm clear that I'm going to watch this particular Netflix show, you know what happens? You put on Netflix, 15 other boxes show up, or Hulu shows up, or whatever shows up, and we change our mind right away. You can decide to change your mind. I mean, that's another thing you could decide. But then that's not true to the spirit of predetermined action. No, I've decided to watch this show. This is the one I'm going to watch. Rather than keep flipping from one thing to another. Let's watch this one properly, thoroughly. That is going to build my inner strength. Let's read 10 pages of the Bible or 10 pages of this book or 20 pages. But if I decide to do it, when I decide to do it, the follow through, and it is behavior selected in advance under conditions of reflective clarity. And guess what? If my emotions change as I'm moving through the next hour, my behavior doesn't change. I'm still going to do my behavior, even let the emotions change. They'll change back. They will definitely change back. Because that's the way emotions go. It's, no, I don't feel like doing this now. I don't really, we are victimized by our emotions. So this is the point, independent of future emotional states. And this is the key point here. Let me just do it this way for a moment. This is an extremely relevant point. It's application because our emotions, they shift rapidly. For example, take the Bible example. I decide to read 25 pages every day. I start day 1 and I finish 25 pages. Day 2, I do 20 pages. Okay. This is day 2 now. I already read 20 pages. It's okay. I don't feel like doing another 5 more pages of this. That's the problem. That when we don't follow through, I made a decision 2 days back, I'm going to read 25 pages. Now, why am I not following through? People do this like in terms of like going to churches or in terms of projects that they're working on, or it doesn't matter. It could be cleanliness in the home. It could be anything. Anything and everything is in this. It's a matter of follow through. It's a matter of not changing the behavior even when the emotion changes. Are we ready to do this week? That's what this is no longer theory. We've covered a lot of theories, a lot of ideas. We're going to cover more of them. There's a lot of theoretical stuff, but this is not a seminar in PhD positive psychology. This is application. Even this is beyond those PhDs in positive psychology. It's actually trying to reach self-mastery, not just talking about it or writing about it or researching about it. Can we do it? Of course we can. Of course we can. Why can't we? Once we are clear that this is possible, the concept is clear, the only thing that remains is to decide. In the next hour, look at my whole 12 dimensions. I've got so many things going on because our mind is spinning usually. Decide from this. These are the things, because we already know what's on our plate. I have right now in my purview, over 50 different projects are going on. But that's fine. I cannot do 50 projects at one time. I have to do a little bit at a time. But I have to be satisfied while doing that in the next hour I'm going to do this. Today this much is done. I've gone to this point, and be okay with that. My desire might be I want to do all this all at once. That's not practical. That's not possible even. And then that'll cause frustration, and then I may feel I don't want to do any of it because I'm doing too much all at once. It's just a jumble. That's not going to work. And then you swing back and forth between doing too much and not much at all. Right? So the point here, the central point is watch out for the emotional variability. Emotions will pull us always in different directions. And when we follow through on our decisions, we will eventually gain mastery over our emotions by doing this technique, that 1 hour at a time. By doing this. And do it literally an hour at a time. Do it for a whole day. Like today, this is exactly, I told you I woke up at 4 o'clock. Because the follow through has been going on so beautifully, there's no resistance. I'm not tired at all. I'm not, I don't feel backed up at all. I feel there's a lot of satisfaction. But this document hour, this was in my mind since last year. Finally, I said today I'm going to create this one. There were a bunch of other things that had to be done that were kind of lingering a bit. I said I'm not going to let them linger anymore. I have the time today. Let's get it done, and it's beautiful. If I didn't get it done today, that thing still would be lingering. The 3 or 4 things that were there, it wasn't anything urgent. But then we procrastinate. I'll do it later. I'll do it later. I'll do it later. No. Right. So this is the key point. It's self-mastery. And when we are in that mode, in that beautiful state of emotion, our emotions and our mind and our thoughts, they become harmonized. They just come together. The quality of emotion and thought improves. The quantity of energy that is used is relatively less. We'll be surprised. When we follow through, we don't use that much energy. In fact, we use a lot of energy when we resist. I feel like doing this, but I don't feel like doing this, but I'm still trying to do it. We create confusion because things are put off. And so when we keep putting off, procrastinate, when we do not have clarity inside, that conceptual clarity, we don't have that clarity inside, then that creates a lot of tiredness. This is backed up, things get backed up, then we start worrying and have tension and fear and all kinds of things are going on. All that stops. Because life is happening in the present. As we said before, we're building a beautiful past an hour at a time. That concept we've talked about many times before. And you cannot build a bright future, it's building a bright past. So that's another thing that happens. And the hour that's coming up, it's building the next hour in the most enjoyable, beautiful, harmonized, wonderful way for me. that I have to decide my life. What's going to be beautiful? What is my desire? The TEMD, D, E. Desire. What are my desires? What do I want? What is my experience? And where is my joy? I have to see that. And then on that basis, I can act. And can I learn from my mistakes or from the past? Yes, all of that, right? So this is the basic concept for this week. With a couple of terms I've already given you here. And that's it. For now, I don't want to bombard all of you with too many ideas. I have 45 pages already. And if we go too much into concepts, it will just become a jumble. It's like I don't understand. Before we understand one thing clearly, 5 other things are coming up, and it's not helpful. It's like having a meal with 15 dishes. Before you finish even swallowing the first morsel, you're putting something else in your mouth. That doesn't help us. We should take one morsel of food, swallow it, taste it, chew it, swallow it, and then allow it to settle a little bit, and then take the next one. I cannot keep putting food in my mouth and not swallow and not and if it has to digest also, that comes, but I have to let it swallow first. It's like that. So just 2 or 3 concepts are enough per week. But if they're applied, even one concept is enough for self-mastery, if it's applied consistently. Also, let me stop here, and I'll open it up for Q&A, so that way so we won't be overburdening too much. Thank you all so much.